So hi, my name is Cortney Holm, and my day job is head of sustainable technology for Unilever, but my interest in sustainable development has been lifelong and extends, into my everyday. In particular, my personal passion and purpose is around future-proofing how we live in a climate-changed world. And more specifically, it's to provide tools and skills to help us thrive with the ethos of self-sufficiency and keeping the human spirit of ingenuity strong, alive, and well. So, as I mentioned, I think it's really important for us to think about how we provide tools and skills to help humans thrive, and the elements around what it means to be human and how self-sufficiency and that human spirit of ingenuity is really important for that to happen. I've been a big fan of the Demos Helsinki's team thought leadership and their fresh approach towards developing the roadmap for a better, more digital life for a number of years. Rupe in particular and I have had a really strong relationship. For me, Untitled builds on that previous research and trials and also seeks to empower the global community to voice their views and then to come together to agree on the type of future we want, but then also to bolster the collective courage to enable us to go after it. And for me, that's what's really exciting about Untitled. So over the course of the next 10 years, the technological footprint across our everyday lives will become greater. And with that comes the need for a paradigm shift about what being human means. A number of new societal, economic, and practical tools and skills will be paramount for humans to thrive under this shift. Reimagining our current take on what it means to be human and how we measure progress, success, ownership, and more broadly, how we live, learn, and earn requires an open heart, but also a foundation of collaboration and trust, which I think is very much so lacking at present. The ideas and interesting concepts that are related to that, there's quite a few actually that I've been working on. And I've been working on how to leverage technology to solve some of our climate and social related challenges and thinking a lot about collaboration and partnerships for technical development. But given my everyday job, that's not surprising, probably. But outside of that, I've also been engaging others on wider concepts, like how society should measure success as opposed to the gross domestic product, and new economic models, how we think and feel about data ownership, personal data as currency, and how open data schemes can liberate or expose us. Outside my day job, where there are a number of initiatives that I feel are pushing the boundaries of how technology can help us become more sustainable, I think in many ways the coronavirus has shown us that we can change. We might not like it, and the circumstances are certainly, not ideal, but we can heed the call to change and get on with less. I've also been delving deep into how we balance the importance of local communities with global awareness, how we structure ourselves to live fully with less, and with different approaches to ownership of things, but at the same time, keeping our communities open to accepting others, namely climate change refugees. I think a lot about open borders and global citizenship and about how to be an advocate for pluralism in a time of deep insularity. There are many experiments that have been done, but none at the scale required to sufficiently test the theory of change. In the near term, I think we need to capitalize on the opportunity coming out of COVID lockdown and challenge society on the value of consumerism, of surrounding ourselves with stuff and things and busy work to fill gaps in our lives based on our perception of self and self-worth. And I think in the longer term, we need to support and sort out our relationship with machines, what it means to be human, and how ingenuity and self-sufficiency can define how we best lead fulfilling lives. That would include the social constructs like new economic models, new laws around data privacy, and also redefining capitalism and what that means. I think there's a unique opportunity with Untitled as a platform for change. And I think in order to realize some of the things that I've discussed about today, and I imagine a lot of the topics that others have discussed, I think we need a really broad group across multiple industries, organizations, and scientific communities. I believe in collaboration and partnerships. I do a lot of work in that space, and I seek constantly and consistently to commercialize the science behind our wonderful research institutions. And I think that thought leadership coming out of think tanks like Demos Helsinki are really critical as well. I do think we need larger world governing bodies like the World Bank as well. I do think that they're quite important, but also, we've done some fantastic work with financial institutions like MasterCard in particular, and Ernst & Young as well have been high on our list with thought leadership and partnership. I think that there's a lot to be had for bringing a multiple disciplinary approach to these problems. Just one, but I think it's a big one. And it's, how do we use our collective passion and knowledge to drive change and not just be a talking shop? What needs to happen for that to be true? I think so many times over the course of my career, 20 some odd years, I feel like I'm always preaching to the choir, so to speak. So how do we get those really tough customers in the room? The people who don't believe in climate change, the people who don't believe that we need to change, that believe that capitalism is the only way to create a stable future. How do we get those guys in the room, and how do we change their hearts? How do we get them to see that change is necessary? And if we don't, then we'll be on a path that probably isn't going to lead to us thriving as a human species.